A quick update for people who follow my work on LinkedIn and elsewhere. I'm in isolation, finishing my eighth book, and I have a process that works for me, and that is I go away and I isolate myself, and I do my Carrie Mathison Homeland impression where I brainstorm and put things all over walls and walk around and I stare at them and I connect things, and I think that's one of my gifts. I have a few. One of them is I'm a disruptive thinker and I connect psychology and sports and history and journalism and all kinds of different kind of theories. And I come up with new things. And so when Creating Your Best Life came out in 2008, I was the first to bring the science of happiness to the science of goal setting. I was the first person to bring priming, changing your passwords to, for example, prompt you to think goal-directed thoughts. A lot of people have picked up on that since then. Priming is now discussed, but 10 years ago when I pulled it all together, it was brand new. But since then, I've been really thinking a lot about the fact that there is no mass market quick guide that actually pulls together goal setting theory, character strengths, the importance of well-being, but then a really explicit understanding of how learning and performance goals, when they get mixed up, can create business disasters and individual disasters. So I've been writing a case study here about Boeing and the Ford Pinto. And I don't think people realize just how similar the Boeing air disaster, the 737 MAX, I don't think people realize that it was preventable if there had been even a cursory study of Locke and Latham's goal-setting theory and in particular the Ford Pinto, and how somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people lost their lives to the Ford Pinto. And Lee Iacocca rushing this death trap onto the market, knowing full well that low-speed collisions would cause the car to blow up. And so it was a performance goal that he set. He wanted it out in 6 months and he wanted it to weigh, no more than 2,000 pounds. And the problem was it was a learning goal because Ford made sedans, but they didn't build in the learning time. So that was part of the problem. And when you confuse the two and when you put profits ahead of learning and you prevent people from being able to engage in the process of getting better at something, you see morals being compromised. You see corners being cut. And it's often when whistleblowers have to emerge in situations. But this is exactly what happened with the Boeing 737 MAX. They were rushing to compete with Airbus, which had been more nimble and was coming up with more innovative planes. And American Airlines said, we're going to place an order with Airbus. So what did Boeing do? They basically said, it takes 10 years to create a new plane. We're just going to retool the 737. And as a result, it was a rush, just like the Ford Pinto. And look how many people died. And it was greed. It was a company that actually said it valued safety, when in fact, everyone at the company who was being rushed to come up with this new plane knew it was unsafe, and it still was put out on the market. And so this book is going to have a lot of case studies to bring to life these theories that live in academia that people don't talk about. So I'm really having a wonderful time, but I'm definitely deep in Carrie Mathison land. Walking around and staring at walls and writing things. But the next 7 days are stringing it all together. And I like what I'm coming up with. A lot of things I'm not going to put out there yet publicly, but really new stuff. So stay tuned and text the word goal to 33777 if you want to be kept up to date on the book and maybe get a free chapter or two in the very near future. But for now, I'm just deep in psychology and case studies and business and leadership work. And I'm going to make sure everybody I can reach has a stripped down goal setting guide so that this kind of thing never happens again and people become more masterful in their own lives. So that's my update from being in isolation and finishing my next book.